Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of our Let's Talk series. And in today's episode, I will be discussing the Boye circular needles. I'll mainly be talking about how I felt about them, how well they worked for me, and what I'm using it for. So if you are a beginner knitter like me, who is just getting into socks, I would highly recommend you watch this video so I can give you the rundown about the circular needles. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, like last video, I have my notes right here, so excuse me if I will be looking down. And like I said before, we will be talking about the Boye circular needles and how well they worked. So before we get started, I did feature these needles in the first episode. And like always, I lost the label, but what I can tell you is that they are size 6 circular needles with a 29-inch cord. Okay, first let's get into like I already stated, the size of the needles. Okay, I want to talk about what I'm using them for. I'm using these needles to knit socks with. I am using the Lion Brand Mandala yarn in the color Sphinx to knit socks, and the recommended needle size for that yarn was 5, but I could only find 6s. And the weight of the yarn is a lightweight 3. Okay, and since there's nothing really else about the needles that I can tell you that I haven't already, I want to get right into our pros and cons. So there are more cons than I can say pros with these needles. I've been having the worst time with these needles. Okay, my first issue, and probably the only issue I have with these needles, is that the cord is way too stiff. Now, I do have Boye circular needles. I don't have them on me right now. I packed them all away, and the cord on that was not as stiff as this, so I wasn't expecting that when I bought them. And I bought them specifically for this yarn and for this project, but this is the cord. Like, there is literally no give whatsoever. They are absolutely horrible to work with. I am not even going to lie. And like I said, this is mainly, this video would be mainly geared towards new knitters like me who are just getting out there. And don't really know much about what type of knitting needles to use, but I definitely would not suggest these. I am doing the magic loop method with a Turkish cast on, and I will be doing a review about how well that worked for me and in my beginner status. And with magic loop, from what I learned, you have to be able to have this cord loop like this, but this is where the issue comes. It's so stiff that it just all smushes together like this. It's just terrible to work with, and I get easily frustrated. I just recently had to frog this whole project because I made them too big, and I'm really dreading having to start that all over again, but I really want these socks. So I have started over. And then another con is it's so hard to move the yarn up and down on here. And my stitches are not tight at all. I actually loosened my tension from the first time I did them. So I want to show you what the yarn gets caught on. If you can look at where the needle goes into the cord, it's got this little plastic stuff, but they didn't bring it all the way flush with the needle, so now there's a gap. I can stick my fingernail in this gap and the yarn gets caught on there and it splits. and it's absolutely horrible. This is the worst experience with circular needles that I have ever had. Now, my Bernat baby blanket is knit on circular needles, and those needles are perfect. My first sock that I ever did, I knit on Boye circular needles, but these ones were one I got for Christmas like a couple years ago, and they weren't like this. This is absolutely horrible. As far as recommending my new knitters out there, don't get these. If you can, I would suggest searching better needles. Like, I've heard a lot about needles called Chow Goose that a lot of people use, or the Addy. They're called Addy knitting needles. Get something like that. Actually do your research and get needles that are actually gonna work. Excuse me if you can hear the dogs barking. It's that time. I spent about a little over $5 for these needles. If I didn't need them for this project, I would return them. If I hadn't lost the receipt, I would take these back, but I feel like I have invested a lot of time in wanting my socks and a lot of energy into these socks that I really want to keep them. And finish this project. I am highly disappointed. I'm not saying I wouldn't suggest all Boye products. I'm just saying their circular needles were the newer versions of their circular needles. I would not suggest to anyone. The cord is nearly impossible to work with. You just end up getting really frustrated, and your tension can never be as good as it should be because of the cord is just really stiff. So if you're going to start socks, I would suggest that you just go to a local yarn shop or even Amazon and get better quality ones. Now, I would probably recommend these knitting needles to make a blanket, something that you're constantly working back and forth on, not anything that would require it to bend and go into different shapes. Definitely not. I looked up how to soften the cord, but pretty much for Boye circular needles like this, there wasn't really any solution for this problem at all. And I'm going to finish my socks. I'm going to and then I'll probably just have these for when I do another blanket, knit another blanket, or maybe when I knit a panel to a sweater. So, like I said, the retail price at my local Walmart was a little bit over $5. I don't think it was worth it, and if I had a do-over, I would definitely not have purchased these. I would have just waited until I could have ordered better quality needles. That is, just going over some notes. That's pretty much all for this episode of Let's Talk, and I know, my experienced knitters out there, I know you guys are probably like, why did you do it? And I'm wondering myself too. But if you guys could leave in the comments below any suggestions for the type of circular needles that I could use, I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to do 2 socks at a time, and I do have second sock syndrome. And I would really appreciate if you could just leave me suggestions for different types of needles, the ones that you think would be best for making socks 2 at a time. And any other recommendations that you guys have, I will gladly accept all of it. So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to our second episode of our Let's Talk series. I hope someone out there has gotten a lot out of this video. Make sure that you guys enter the giveaway. You still have a little less than a week left. Again, it ends on Tuesday, March 21st at 11:59 PST, which is Pacific time. And I wish you guys the best of luck in that. You'll be winning some yarn and some other goodies, so make sure you go over to how to enter the giveaway video and follow the rules and enter yourself. And I will be announcing the winner that following Thursday when it's podcast time. Again, thank you guys for coming back to this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and like this video. And I'll see you in the next one.